Today's topic will be educational marketing strategies for IoT technology rollouts, also applicable to any high-tech rollout that you may have. Today's speaker will be Kelly Stark, CEO of Forward Marketing. Kelly is the founder of Forward Marketing, which is a full-service B2B technology marketing firm that specializes in IoT and RFID marketing. Kelly is both a marketer as well as an engineer with 20 years experience. And now I'd like to turn over the presentation to Kelly.
Thanks, Diane. Diane's also one of the principals on Forward Marketing with many years experience in the telecom industry, wireless industry, and also comes with a graphic art background to have the marketing key. So our goal here is to show technology companies how to best reach your target customers and really define this educational marketing approach to help make sure that your technology rollouts are a success. So I'm going to give you a quick introduction to Forward Marketing, discuss why there's a problem with marketing technology, and kind of review quickly how customers buy and how we can influence this educational and marketing approach to make sure that your company rollouts are a success, and love to have a Q&A. I think this webinar should only take about 30 minutes, so sit tight and we'll get started. But if you have any questions, go ahead, put them in the chat or in the question box, and we'll get to it at the end of the session. So Forward Marketing, we're actually a full service marketing agency. We do all types of marketing. And our key marketing benefit is that we really understand technology. All the people on our team has had a lot of experience with technology. So we understand how to communicate the technology in a business-to-business marketplace. And we don't have any other clients that are in any business-to-consumer relations or any non-technology clients. Another part of our manifesto is that we take research and analytics and observing campaigns to make sure that we measure what really makes an impactful marketing program for our clients. And I think that's another difference in our agency. Because just face it, a life of a marketeer, you have to be an expert in so many different facets, from PR to branding, to then creating all these collateral, event marketing, SEO, digital. I mean, who can really do that? So that's why we are here to help support you marketing people with experts that are in these different areas that can help you with that. And here's a just quick look at our Forward Marketing team. And I'm not going to go through everybody, but I just wanted to, give a shout out to our whole team of very experienced professionals and experts in what they do. So Forward Marketing, we've worked with a lot of technology companies, and here's just a few that we've been working with. We have a lot of international clients that are looking to market to the US, and that's something that we've specialized in helping them do. So we've got a lot of experience in trying to market technology. So let's start out with defining the problem. Why is it that 70% of projects fail? And this is by Forrester Research. I think a lot of us in this IoT, RFID, high-tech technology have tried to roll out products and solutions that end up nobody's using. And let's see why. Number one, I know this is something familiar to everybody, but I have to touch on it. A lot of times we're stuck in this kind of innovators, early adoption, and it's really hard to cross that chasm to get that early majority. And the reason is because a lot of the high-tech technologies like in IoT and RFID, they're new. They're on that new quadrant. And the business model that we're introducing is also new. So for that quadrant, it's the radical quadrant. It's really the hardest to sell and market. And the reason for that is because in order to have people accept your technology, there's this obvious, they have to perceive that it's very useful. And also with that usefulness, there has to be an extreme ease of use that the customer can perceive. So we've got those two huge factors that are driving people's attitudes towards using your products and their behavior towards buying it, and having it actually roll out to success. So those are the big top problems and why it's so hard to market technology. There's always that internal resistance to change, the poor perception of those benefits, the technical complexity of it, and it's always difficult to demonstrate ROI in these new business cases that may not have been used before. But good news is there is some drivers to help overcome those barriers that we're going to talk about. Testimonials, being able to promote on many different channels, great training, case studies, and we'll go into more of these details in the second half of the presentation here. So step 2, it's really important to understand, well, how do your customers buy so that you can help influence that? According to Google, most prospects are 60% way through their buying process before they even contact you. So what does that mean for you as a marketing person? Then it's more important than ever to educate the buyer. And then start looking at how you can influence them in the buying process and arming your staff with already content and tools, because you can't just sit there and wait for them to contact you. They might have already been involved with a competitor by the time you get to that. And this is, marketing 101 buying process. So a lot of customer marketing companies focus on, well, how do we get that early information gathering stage? How do we get the customers to let us in the door or realize that they need our products and so on. And so there's a lot of focus on information gathering stage. I'm going to talk a lot about this second half in this educational marketing approach. All right, how do we get our customers to understand why our product's superior, this evaluation stage? How do we shorten up the sales cycle so that they buy now rather than, waiting to contact us later? Having those successful rollouts and continuing to even purchase and roll this out through different areas. And now we're getting into the educational approach. This is a survey that we did at Envision Marketing to ask users out there, how do they identify, and this was for RFID equipment providers. And it's very similar to the IoT market and other high tech, where these big companies may have never heard of these high tech providers, and how do they get their information? So the number one thing that people answered, 75% was using search engines. So typing in keywords and finding out who they come up with. Number 2 is attending trade shows. And then the number 3 is referrals from their different, partners, as well as still, social media is important, getting involved with the technology magazines. So I just wanted to kind of key in on that information gathering stage of that buying process. What are the things that people need to focus on? And I wanted Diane to kind of come in here and show a little bit about, how that is.
Yeah, so one of the things that we really want to do is we want to build educational tools that train and generate leads. And there are many ways of doing that. Basically, you need about 8 to 10 touches before you're going to get a reaction from a customer or a prospect. So, some of those tools that are in your bag to do that as a marketer are email marketing, social media, creating landing pages, also making sure that your sales staff as well as your help desk are trained and to know what your messages are, and even just kind of writing, little key points for them to talk about whenever they're in front of a prospect or dealing with a customer, as well as using web and mobile personalization, as well as search engine optimization. These are all tools that will help generate leads and educate the marketplace.
And this is just a follow-up to that with a HubSpot study that said, okay, these are the top lead generation type of information gathering. And, I think we're all familiar with these tools. I just wanted to, once again, just cover that, number one is ebooks or information guides. That's something I haven't seen a lot of companies focusing on. Having really good presentations that you can put out there and let people even download and maybe even use internally within their organizations. Sponsoring research and reports. And then we get down to white papers that people use a lot, but there's a lot of things up there that I don't think, we as marketing companies have been taking advantage of. Putting together kits. Maybe there's multiple offers we can put together. Live webinars is still a great tool. Obviously, I'm using that. On-demand videos is very, very hot this year. And blog posting and content development is still very important, but I think a lot of times we don't put a call to action. That's what the CTA is in the post. And I wanted to add that in there to say, start prompting some action when people are doing this information gathering. Always include demo requests on your website, so contact sales on every page of your website, because people are out there and they're looking for information. And I think we forget to make it even a little bit easier to make it a lead. All right, so now I'm going to jump. These are things I get it. You guys do this type of stuff. But I want to go now into something that I really don't see out there. And that's that second, that middle phase in that buying process, that evaluation mode. So a client's already been contacted with you. How are you going to make sure that they're going to go with you and not your competitor? And obviously, you have to kind of anticipate those questions and be ready to add your validation to them. So for instance, testimonials, I know they're hard to get. Everyone says that, but they're just so key in being able to validate your company. Be ready for those demos and already anticipate that that's a part of that process you're going to have to do. Obviously, in the customer's buying process, they're going to have to go through and look at different products. So don't be shy about helping them with that process. Let's look at some product comparisons and maybe even, of course, showing your technology versus existing infrastructure, but even you versus your other competitors, bringing those in so that they don't have to do that extra homework and possibly get sold out by another competitor. Another thing that is really important that we looked at was referrals, and you understand how important that is. If you can engage some past customers to ask them for referrals, it never hurts, and I think so many people don't ask and don't bother to do that. And they're always worried about, but maybe our project's not doing extremely well, or there are issues. It still is that such a validation to those people when they're making this scary decision of whether or not to go with you. Joint white papers are really valuable. It's going to help show that this isn't just you alone trying to promote this technology, but maybe industry-wide, the customers are buying in. Being a part of industry forums is very important. If you're going to go after the healthcare industry, start joining some of their healthcare industries and getting to know what their key care abouts are. And another way that we've seen some success is doing some of the social groups. So, for instance, LinkedIn's been particularly successful for a lot of technology companies where they can join one of their target markets industry groups and start contributing, maybe even start listening to what the key care abouts are. And so when you do have an opportunity when your product might be a good fit, you've already been part of that community and you can start answering it in their language and being able to help even maybe make connections and referrals for a whole solution. After you've got kind of that evaluation stage, a lot of people just stop marketing. And they thought, okay, great, I've got my lead. It's now we're piloting and hands off with the marketing team. And this is where I think the projects start to just fail because it still needs so much customer engagement and marketing and hype to really get those projects through. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to focus on in this webinar is, you guys can actually be part of the rollout team, working, with the influencers on the organization side to say, hey, why don't we name this project something fun? Have a logo to go with it. Create a web page internally for your customer's client where they talk about this is Project Orange, for example, and we have this goal in mind. Building some personal connections with your customer's team, not just your point man and believer, but let's start viewing the users that are actually going to be using your technology. Even the buyers, the customer support people, having them realize that they can contact you for some support, some help, because a lot of times it may have one or two bad hiccups that could have easily been supported and helped by you guys, but you don't know because you don't have those personal connections with that team.
One of the things I think is really important in this area too, really you're marketing internally first so that you are successful at launch. And I think that's one of the steps that really is missing. So doing all of this internal work pre your external launch is really critical. And, one of the things that, I have found with some of our clients has been really successful, even like doing things like doing a voiceover on the PowerPoint that the sales team is going to use, doing internal webinars, announcing the product, kicking everything off, and really doing as much internal communications as you're going to do external communications really helps build that foundation for success. I think is really, one thing that a lot of companies do. Not as much. You always hear, sometimes you'll be at a company and they'll be like, hey, they saw this press release. We didn't even know we had this product. So I really think building that hype up internally is one of those missing pieces that can be done better at a lot of companies.
Thanks. And that's exactly it. It's this missing secret that just sets your company apart once they realize, hey, look at, we've got this fun project going on. And then in the support set, I really wanted to just point this out as how important support is. Where can your client turn for help? This was a study that Forrester did, and I know it's an older study, but it's still extremely applicable. It was specifically for IoT solution implementation partners. And, number one, of course, they want to have somebody who has that technical expertise. Yes, that's obviously important. And then number two is, do they really have the industry specific experience in my industry to really understand the problems and think solutions that I need? But number three, I really want to point out is people voted, having a customer service and help desk support capability is very, very high on how they evaluate an IoT solution provider. And that can be done in so many different ways. And I'm not going to get into all the marketing ways that you can support this. Because there's definitely a whole nother webinar just on, great marketing ways to showcase this customer service and be able to answer frequently asked questions and build a forum and so on and so on. But I just wanted to point out that that's something overlooked that I guess marketing people feel like we don't need to worry about. And yet we do, because that's part of the decision-making process. And once again, in this post-purchase, you think, okay, great. We've got the sales order, we're done. And that's not true at all. This is so important. Number one, of course, sharing the pilot success and the customer stories. A lot of times that just gets bypassed, and internally people don't even realize, wow, we did this in the pilot and it was this successful. So it's very important to capture those details and create kind of that customer story. Don't overlook the training. It's really important to maybe even host, as Diane mentioned, some internal company events where you can kind of talk about the training, the successes, and get the rest of the company on board. It's going to pay dividends in the rollout, but even in referrals and spreading your process and new improvements to the rest of the different corporations and so on. And so once again, there's plenty of marketing tools that can be used here. Having a good help desk, user guides, training videos, promoting workshops, lunch and learns, all those type of things. With the company events, I like to even just put together a poster, put a little retractable banner that could go up in the lunch area or the lobby, and just let people know what's going on. Helping to even maybe co-sponsor some little newsletters to let people internally and the customers say, hey, this is what this is, and this is why we're doing it. And then, of course, creating website material that people can go to and understand a little bit more details. So this is a kind of our educational marketing approach, and it's really key to the success in user adoption. And therefore, once again, the emphasis is go ahead and invest in these tools so that your customers will actually use your product. And I know that could be overwhelming. So this is where I'm doing a little plug for Forward Vision Marketing. We have had some experience in this where, we've been involved in employee engagement and events and employee outreach and, putting together those collateral pieces and messaging to help you, support you, because I know that I've been on your side of the desk and it's overwhelming job. You have enough just on that initial trying to get leads. So this process takes a lot of work, but I wanted to mention that, you do have some partners that can help you with it.
So thank you, Kelly. Right now we'll be taking any questions. If you want to type a question into the chat, we'll be happy to answer your questions. So we have one question that came in. Kelly, how long is the planning process for this prior to launch internally? And, what do I do if we're not allowed to talk about our product? Typically, what's the time frames, especially when it's under in that development phase?
Well, that's a great question. I would recommend that you get started in that process even when you have some evaluation with your customer. So, you've got your lead come through and they're starting to maybe evaluate your product. Um, we would advise to start talking about the fact that, hey, we can help you as your organization roll this out internally for you with our marketing tools. We're going to help you with our training videos. We'll help create an internal web page for you. We'll do, we'll have this project name. We'll help be there for you, because you have to think the risk that your customer, the project lead that person's contacting you has. If this project fails, yes, they could maybe point fingers at the technology, but of course, there's also fingers pointed at that person, your project lead, and you want to assure that person that they're going to be successful and that you have these tools that go beyond anything your competitors are doing to help them be successful. So, really on those initial contacts where they're starting to evaluate you and look at your product, I think it's the time to start talking about this.
Okay, great. Another question just came in. Can you tell us a little bit more about getting support when you only have a small budget? How much, what can I do with a small budget?
And that's a question I hear every day. So there's always ways to do marketing that don't have to be extreme budget and blow people out of the water. That's something that we as Forward Vision Marketing really, we don't try to like price things like some of the big agencies do. We really kind of understand what it's like to be in these technology companies that are still in trying to roll out their products. But what I've seen happen, and this is one of the projects we worked on, is if you engage with a customer and say, listen, we want to do a marketing rollout to help your internal adoption and make you successful. So in your proposal, you can even include some of these potential costs, the events and the training and so on. And it's actually been shown as a benefit on some RFPs for companies versus other ones where they actually include a marketing budget and say, okay, we would like to request this as part of our process, and we're going to produce all this for your staff. And therefore, they say, hey, look at this company is going to help make this successful. We know our marketing business company can't quite understand how to do this. And now I'm engaged with a partner that's going to make this successful. So it could even be help supported by your customer.
Okay, great, thanks. Another question, will we provide slides? Yes, if you'd like a copy of the slides, if you could just email me at diane@forwardvision.net, and we'll be happy to provide a copy of the slides to you as well.
And tomorrow, by the time we get this recording up and post it up, we'll have an email out with the live recording as well. In addition, if you want that. Do we have any more questions, Diane?
That's all the questions that I saw that came in. Do you want to tell everybody about our digital marketing audit and how they can take advantage of that?
Great idea. So one of the things that we do with people that are interested in looking at their strategy and digital marketing is we put together a digital marketing audit, and we cover all the different best practices and marketing. And we do this for you for no cost. So just give us a call or email to say, hey, we'd love to just have you do a digital marketing audit for us, and let us give you some ideas on the strategy to make 2018 really successful. And it looks like we ended right on time. So thank you guys so much for participating, and look forward to hearing from you.
Great. Thank you, Kelly.
Bye.